Okay, so now we're going to talk about subtotals. So a subtotal is an item. It's treated as an item just like any other item in QuickBooks. So you're going to go to your lists and your items list. When we create a new subtotal item, you come down here and say new. All right, and we choose subtotal item. So we do have another video that describes the calculations part down here, so we'll make sure to check out that next video called Subtotal Calculations so you can understand that. That's an enterprise only feature. So in QuickBooks, you have these subtotal items. So why would you use them? Essentially, when you're looking at, if you watch the video on discounts, if you want to apply a discount to the entire order, you use a subtotal item to total up, right? Calculate the total for the entire order, and then it applies the discount to the entire order if it's a percentage. Also, another way that I've seen a lot of customers use subtotals is so that on one transaction, let's say one estimate, they have different phases. So at each phase, they want to say, you know, it's $100 for framing and $500 for planning and $200 for permits, and then they want to say, okay, phase one, what's the total for phase one? And then move on and say what's the total for phase 2, phase 3, etc. Okay, so there's a lot of benefits to using this subtotal item. It allows you to break one transaction down and get some individual subtotals along the way. So I'm just going to create one called subtotal item. In the description, again, it's important to use a description so that your customer kind of understands what this is. And then I'm going to say okay. So let's go ahead and see it in use. So I'm going to go onto a sales transaction and widen the screen here. So when we're looking at using a subtotal item, so first of all, let me stick a couple items on here. 12 of 05 at $25 each, and 1506 at $50 each. Okay, so well, actually, let me add one more just so that we can really get a good view of this. All right. Okay, so the two scenarios that I was talking about there, right? So first of all, if we were going to use a discount item, if I wanted to use a discount item in here, I think I set up on the video a Mother's Day disc sale. So the Mother's Day sale is going to give me a total of, or going to do the calculation, the 5% calculation of whatever's above it. So you see here it's taking 5% of the $800, which is $40. If I wanted to do a discount for the entire order, I need to use that subtotal item to total everything above it. So now it's totaling the entire $2,000 for everything, all these four above it, and that gets me to my $100 discount. Okay. The second scenario we talked about where we're having different phases. So when we have clients that have different phases, so usually I like to insert a line, and in the description, right, because in QuickBooks you can use the description field without having to put an item in. So we're going to say phase 1. And phase 1 are the plans and the masonry only. I want you to watch what happens with the subtotal item. So as soon as I right click and insert a line, or the quick key, hit Control Insert. Okay, now the subtotal item down here still stays at $2,000. All right, so then I'm going to hit Control Insert again, put in phase 2, and then I'm going to put a subtotal item here. Now notice what happens, right? When I insert the subtotal item here, this subtotal totals whatever's above it. This subtotal now only totals whatever's above it. It takes out those two that are up top because I have this additional subtotal item in there. So again, when I add this in, I say phase 1, here's everything $450, phase 2, here's everything, and you get a discount. And then I would probably want to do an additional subtotal item down here to give me the net of phase 2, okay, with the discount. So what it looks like when we do a print preview, so I have phase 1 subtotal, phase 2 subtotal, allows us to kind of break those out, right? Still on one transaction for the customer, so we can provide one estimate as an example, but allows us to get all those details on there. So those subtotal items can be pretty powerful.